And my name is Bob. I'm a compulsive overeater. I'm an alcoholic. I want people to like me. And my problem is Bob. I always start out by saying that because until I knew where the problem was, I couldn't solve it. So anyway, let's get started here. I want to go right back to the doctor's opinion. And last meeting, this meeting, again, the addiction to food. Okay, we have a lot of us have addiction to alcohol, drugs, and all other things in our lives. But to me, this addiction to food, 75% of the people in our country have this problem. So don't feel alone. And if you have all of these issues and problems with the food, it's very, very, but it's understandable. We have all these corporations. We have all the even the government, and the FDA, the Food Drug Administration. Most of the people on that are people from the corporations, right? So we don't have a chance with this addiction. And it definitely is an addiction. And a lot of people I spoke to who, through the years, have been addicted to all the other, we call sugar the white powder, sugar, right? Addictive. But the other white powders, say cocaine, heroin, crack, whatever you want, all of those drugs are also addictive. But people come into this thing with the food and try to resolve and find it even much, much more difficult. But again, as I always say, the great news about this is we should be grateful for our addiction, is it could bring us closer to the steps and this program and having that complete change, that spiritual awakening that Step 12 talks about. So have no fear. As I always say, we're going to have it here today in our relationship to the food. But first, it's in this book and in these steps. Let me go to the very beginning of the book where it talks about what the problem is. Until I knew what the problem was, I couldn't resolve it. So it says, if you have the big book in front of you, if you don't, that's fine too. But on page 28, Roman numeral 28 in the big book, it says, and on the last paragraph of that page, it says, men and women drink essentially, and I put the word overeat and other addictions, essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol, and also it could be food and other things in our life, right? Things of the flesh, it's called of, right? Not spiritual. We're going to talk about that spiritual awakening, but all these things are things of the flesh, right? So if we're going to go for the things outside of flesh, we can do that, but it always causes it's called pleasure. If you want that happy enjoyment and blissful nature, the source which is in us all the time that God created us for, then we have to be out of the flesh, out of the pleasures. We can enjoy them, go out and enjoy the world, but realize where all the source of happiness is. And the reason why I say on the other side it causes as much devastation is because when you have something and you get it, whether it's money, power, success, when on the other hand, when somebody has more than you never have enough, then you feel equally upset and anxious and depressed, restless, irritable, discontent. We have the eternal present to be in with this God source, this internal source that's within every one of us. Now, the past is depression, the future is anxiety. And I always say this, I love the phrase, like, I'm always planning my past, right? Are we always planning our past? And we're always regretting the future. How many of you are regretting the future or you're planning the past? But here we are, when we work these steps, and we can be in eternal presence, which is that higher consciousness, universal enjoyment, love, peace, all of these things that come together to us when we're quiet. Still, we're talking this morning about the prayer meeting and how when we're still and quiet, it says in our book here, just sit and know that you are, this consciousness. That source, it's in there, but we buried it with our defects of character. And here's how we buried it. I'll go back to what I was going to say here on page 28, Roman numeral 28, in the doctor's opinion. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol or food or other addictions. The sensation is so elusive, while they admit it is injurious, they cannot after time differentiate the true from the false. Now I love the quote, the truth shall make you free. So at a certain point in our lives, with all our things, we were taught we had to be more successful. We were taught we had to have more money. We had to have people like us. All of these things that we're taught. But also one of the main things we're taught, and especially in our society with the food, is that that's our higher power. That if you look at the commercials on TV, if you driving down the highway or on the internet, it says there that this is going to be the solution. So we, in turn, accepted it. We're always the problem. But knowing that we're always the problem is the answer, because we knew it was in our thinking, our attitudes. So with this food addiction, look, if we do want to get rid of and get over this addiction to these foods, we change our thinking. It's inside of us. The thinking is the problem. right? Step one said. What does step one say? It goes right to step one. We were powerless. As soon as we realized we were powerless and that we couldn't do anything about it, because what do we want? What I just read, right? This is what we want, what I just read. To them, their alcoholic or compulsive overeating life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented until they can again experience the ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks, a few bites, drinks they see others take with impunity. So here we started to realize, just like anything other, if I want more money, I'll never have enough. I'll be upset and it's not going to be the joy and happiness I'm going to want, because once I get it, it doesn't give us that happiness and joy. And the same with this addiction. But in our mind, our best thinking got me here. So that's why when we go to step one, it says we realize we're powerless. That old thinking, we couldn't do it.